Okay, so have you always been practicing your religion?
Yeah, I've been Catholic since birth, literally. My parents both Catholic, all my siblings. So it's pretty much always, yeah.
Okay, and what kind of activities, religious activities, do you practice aside from going to mass? Are you involved in like Bible study groups or
I used
things
to
like
be.
that?
When I was younger, I was part of the youth group, which fell apart due to conflicts within. About the founder, there was some controversial things that popped up, and everybody jumped ship for good reason, too. The guy, well, I love religion. That guy was messed up. And sometimes there are people within religion that can do horrible things in the name of it. So, yeah. So I used to be a part of a lot of youth groups, but that failed. I've always gone to Catholic school, so I was part of like volunteer groups there. I haven't been doing much lately, while I've been in college because I've been so busy. Mm-hmm. There was this prayer group, this like prayer seminar group that I joined briefly, but I had to stop because it was in Manhattan and I couldn't keep traveling during night.
Right.
I didn't really feel it was safe. Sorry, my voice is going a bit.
No problem.
It was, yeah. If they held their things earlier in the day, it would probably be easier for me. But as it stands, right now the chapel here is the extent of myself. Sorry, my voice is just. There we go. Okay.
So would you say it's kind of hard to integrate religion in your life as a college student?
I would say so because the majority of my classmates are not religious. Several of them have a lot of arguments against religion in general, or just have a disdain for it due to past experiences. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've had friends who are from religious backgrounds but left due to their own personal reasons or their own beliefs or conflicts that they've had.
Okay. So in your case, how would you describe your reasons for being religious? Like, is it for what it brings you in your well-being, emotional and spiritual well-being, or because your family was religious, or is it a mix of that?
It's probably a mix. I don't know where I would be if my family wasn't religious, but that's just conjecture at this point. Like, my family is religious, and that's the fact. I was introduced from very young age, so it's what I've known. And what I do know is that it does give me emotional fulfillment, spiritual fulfillment. It makes me happy, and I think other people would be happy too, but I don't want to like shove it down their throats, and that's a bit of a conflict for me, like trying to find that balance between wanting other people to be happy and not going around with a pamphlet.
Yeah.
Like, although then again, Catholicism isn't like the group that goes, have you accepted Jesus as your personal Lord and Savior? Like, and to be honest, I might make fun of that a bit, which I probably shouldn't. They mean well. Mm-hmm. They mean well. I just don't agree with the methods. But no, I logically and spiritually and just my belief, I just think this is the right thing for me, and I think it's just correct in general.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So could you briefly walk me through a regular week for you? So when during the day and what days of the week do you include religion in your life, concretely?
Well, concretely, I guess the biggest thing would be on Sundays or holy days of obligation, like today. When I go to church, it's an hour a week, typically, or shorter, depending on where you go. And so there's the Mass there. And then we're encouraged to try and incorporate religion into our daily lives, like remember your faith, remember it, and like help it strengthen your morals, your decisions, your words. And so yeah, I guess that could be pretty concrete too.
Okay.
But the biggest thing would be probably church, like in my weekly routine.
Okay. And how would you describe, so do you know the other people that come to the chapel for services at Pratt?
Not particularly. Like, the most I see them is at church. I don't have classes with them.
Okay.
Although I saw one girl from my classes today, I was a bit surprised. To be honest, like, since there's not that many people there, and since it's only for an hour a week, it's not like I can get that much chance to know them much, but they're, and I have a very bad facial and name recollection, so I probably couldn't list their names off the top of my head, but I don't think you really need that for the project. But they're good people. I know that much. And I don't mean that just because they show up to church. Like, that's not my criteria. I mean, whenever I talk with them, they're enjoyable. The adults who come, well, we're all adults. Like the other adults who come in who are students.
Just by the way, how old are you?
I'm 19.
Okay.
The other adults who come in, like the older ones, like the people who have been, I don't know if they went here or if they're just friends of the sorry, of the priest. Well, they are friends of the priest. They get along pretty well with him, but they come in too. So they're not exactly students, but they do come to church here, and it's kind of like a small community in a way.
And how would you like describe them? Is there similarities other than the fact that they are religious? Is there things that they have in common aside from that, you think?
Well, seeing as we mostly get girls,
Okay.
like you saw today, but then again, that's how it is at this campus anyway. Like the majority of the population here is female, and it's like that in church too. I'm pretty sure on Sunday it was all like that.
Why do you think?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe there is a correlation, of course, with how many girls go to Pratt in general, but I also think it has to do with maybe girls are just more open to religion, perhaps.
Okay.
Like I've been thinking about that one for a bit, because people tend to think masculine is tough and like has to stand out straight and or the college frat boy who's too busy playing video games, like the guys next door who kept me up all last night. Thanks, guys. But
maybe because they're not as in touch with their spiritual.
Yeah, it might be that. I've had to write a bunch of papers about masculinity and femininity in English lately, so I've been thinking about that one a bit, like how strange that is. But it might just be who the people are. Like,
of course,
it might just be that we have a larger number of Catholic girls this year than boys.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a few I know of, but they don't go to mass here. They go somewhere else.
And would you, like, in your opinion, based on yourself and these people, would you say that there's kind of a conflict in you guys' identity, in the sense that you have your religious, your faith, and then your identity as a young designer or artist in a contemporary city? Do you feel that there's like a complexity between those two aspects?
I think there is, because the world is very, it's a very secular world. There's not, like, people have been moving away from religion. People have been striking out more as individuals, and there's a correlation between striking out as individuals and staying away from organized religion. And adding to that, like, people are afraid sometimes to be openly religious because, and I don't mean like they won't say it or they'll lie about it. I mean, maybe they would, but like what I mean is it's not brought up. They don't say out loud. If someone's deriding religion, they might not speak up just because they don't want to alienate the people around them. Like if you have classes with the exact same people, like foundation year here, like I don't know if it's like this in Manhattan, but I have the classes with the same majority of people. Like I share my exact schedule with a lot of people.
Yeah, me
so
too.
If I alienate them, I have to deal with that for more than just one class.
Yeah.
So that's why I've noticed myself being very careful about what I say, and I do feel a lot of conflict about that. Like
you think people like kind of have a stereotype in their head of the religious girl? Or
they've expressed surprise at some points whenever it gets brought up that I'm religious. Like I'll just mention an offhand comment that I was like, I heard something funny when I was in church, and they were all like, I didn't know you were religious. Like, it took them completely by surprise, which is quite funny to me because there's like a Catholic schoolgirl stereotype, and I technically am a Catholic schoolgirl, like all my life. I just don't fit the stereotype they think of. And, when I, in such a diverse classroom, the religious aspect of it, I'm not quite sure is as diverse, because I know for certain now that there's one Catholic in my class, but other than that, it's very little. I've never seen that many people. So
And-
yeah, it's conflicting.
Yeah. And do you are you involved in other kinds of extracurricular activities other than in regards to religion, like sports?
Well, yeah, I'm on the Quidditch team.
Oh.
Yeah, it's fun. Like, seriously, the most fun I've ever had with a sport. And you know, I hang out with those guys. We go to like, we've gone out a couple times, done fun stuff.
And you
No.
keep your faith like outside of that group? You
I
know?
try to, yeah. Like, if I'm at a party, I make sure things don't progress too far, and I've also set several more new standards based on the fact that, you know, the guy can look 20 and 30. But yeah, I'm not going to any more parties for a while. But like, I try to like keep my faith, keep my standards, keep my beliefs with me always. Like, as like guiding core philosophies, like. I believe if I'm consistent to that, like, if I flip-flop everywhere, it's not going to be fun. It's going to lead to a lot of conflict. It's interior conflicts, and yeah, so I try to stay true to that.
Do you, through those activities that have to do with religion, do you like socialize and meet other people? Well, I guess you kind of answered that not really, or
It's been a lot harder here because, again, there's so few people who are actively involved, like with even coming to church, or if they do, they go somewhere else. And I guess I got kind of used to that, though, because my high school, while it was a Catholic school, I'm pretty sure at least 30-40% weren't willingly involved in the religion. Like, either their parents were and they didn't want to be, either it was rebellion or they just didn't believe in it. It was like a school, inner city, that like offered a lot of scholarships. Like, part of the school's mission was to reach out and help underprivileged kids, and so we would have people coming to school who weren't Catholic, and it's not like that was a prerequisite or anything. But I know some people who did become more active through the school. I mean, the school made us to graduate, we had to complete 60 hours of community volunteer work service, and I found that to be a great experience. Like, I helped out in this religious shelter that helped people get back on their feet again, gave them a home for like months at a time before, and helped them. And I helped out in the homework help program because we had people who couldn't even speak English sometimes, and yet they're supposed to, by public school standards, keep up with everybody else, and sometimes it's really hard for them. And I found it very enlightening. And then the woman who runs that place is an amazing woman. She's like completely spiritually like enveloped in religion. She's so selfless. She's like gone up against the city so that you could get those apartments that she helps work in built. There's like zoning laws there, like it's too close to tracks, and she's like, it's a homeless shelter. I'm trying to help people, and you're telling me I can't build anything because it's a foot, like there's like a really small too close to a train track. It was kind of ridiculous, but she won.
Wow.
And yeah, she's just amazing. Like, stuff like that is a real encouragement, and it helps bolster your faith in the human race a bit. Like, you know, you hear all these horrible things about people, but nobody ever reports about the good things people do.
Yeah, it's true. And do you like, how do you deal with people that practice another religion? Does it happen that you encounter?
Oh yeah, all the time. And in fact, I actually have a bit of an academic curiosity towards that.
Okay.
When I was in 11th grade, I took comparative religions class, and it was like my favorite religion class ever. And, you know, Catholic school, I had to take religion class all the time, but I really wanted to learn about other religions. Not that I'm necessarily considering, like, converting or anything. I just really like to know the similarities, the differences, like the philosophies, the core values. I just really like studying them. Like, Taoism was amazing to study. Then whenever, like, I I spent an entire summer asking one of my friends about Judaism, like just rituals, practices, beliefs, philosophies, all that stuff. I really like hearing about it.
Yeah.
And I don't really have anything against other people in religion, because the way I see it, if you're doing good, it's through God, and if you're not, it's not. So what I really focus on is, are you doing good? And but other than that, I really do like studying other religions.
Okay.
It's like one of my random pursuits.
Yeah. Okay. Do you feel, well, I guess we kind of talked about that, but would you say people judge you based on the fact that you're religious?
If they do, I don't really know about it, and I don't think it would bug me too much if I did, because, to be honest, I'm pretty sure they'd be much more annoyed by other traits of me than religion. Because, again, it's not like I'm going up in their face shoving a pamphlet down their throat. And while I have had the occasional debate, and a lot of those in high school, I don't really think that they're judging me or anything. Mm-hmm. And, again, if they are, there's really nothing I can do to change that.
Yeah.
But as far as I know.
Okay. And also, I was wondering, do you use social media in general, like
I use
Facebook?
Tumblr.
Tumblr, okay. And what kind of posts do you?
Well, I used to actually be pretty involved in like the religious political side of
Okay.
Tumblr. I don't do that anymore. It was a bit hellish. The second that a big topic in social media comes up and you post your comment, you're going to end up in an argument with someone where their opening argument is an expletive. And so I just don't do that anymore. I stick mostly to posting like funny cat videos and other things, because it's kind of draining to have to argue with someone, because in the end I'm not going to like change their mind like through the internet. It doesn't work like that. I can't just say what I believe to be true and all of a sudden they're like, my eyes have been opened. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with somebody like that, it doesn't work. And while I don't doubt there are people who are on the internet looking for enlightenment, I don't think they're on Tumblr looking for enlightenment. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I don't really do that much anymore, because it's kind of like painting a target on yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean again about the conflict. It's like sometimes I just don't want to invite that conflict into my life.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, because I was interested in, I was looking in Facebook, because I'm on Facebook, and there's a few of my friends that are religious too, and they're really expressive and like confident about the religious aspect of their life, and so they often post stuff and pictures of like, religious activities, and I was wondering like what do you think of that? Do you think it's something?
I think it's good.
Yeah?
Like, especially if they have each other to fall back on and help each other, because, again, I don't have that many people who are close to me who I can rely on for support if like, let's say somebody started harassing me through the internet again. Mm-hmm. I mean, it has happened a couple times. It's not really fun, but I think it's good that your friends are doing that, like, because people are more effective as a group. The group can support each other, and they can support others. And I'm not going to say it would be different for me if I had a group like that, but I don't.
Yeah.
And maybe I should be more vocal about my religious beliefs, but at this point, I really see no outlet to do so, because I'm not on Facebook much, and Tumblr is not the place to do that. Like, the most religious I've ever seen Tumblr is, Tumblr all agrees that the current Pope Francis is like awesome, because he is. Like, he preaches pretty much everything Tumblr likes, which is tolerance and helping people, and like he's just like perfect. Mm-hmm. So everybody likes him. That's the only time I've ever seen Tumblr be like agreed about somebody. And I've seen them call like previous popes, like insult them for being like Hitler Youth, and I'm like, they lived in Poland during World War II. What do you think? They had to. It wasn't like, hey, do you want to volunteer? No, it was join or die, literally. Don't get on their case for that.
Yeah.
It's like saying, oh, they lived in Vietnam during the Civil War. During the Vietnam War.
Yeah, no, I understand what you mean.
It's just, yeah. So, yeah, Tumblr isn't really the best place for religion. And maybe if I was on Facebook more, but I'm not. I don't like Facebook much.
Why?
It's boring.
Okay.
Like, I joined for Farmville. When I was in 6th grade, I joined for Farmville. So I've never really been that into.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my last question would be, do you have like a need or a desire that that is unexpressed about anything in your life?
Not that I'm aware of, really. Like, to be honest, I think one of the better things for me through religion is, like, being able to let go of things like, I would be just as happy in a tiny apartment as I would be in a mansion. I don't even think I would be happy with all of that.
Yeah.
Like, there's just something that's emotionally fulfilling about religion that helps me not need to keep wanting more and more and more. It's quite nice, actually. So I've been happy with that.
Okay.
And I really don't feel like I'm being repressed or held back or anything. I always had that like little frown on my face whenever people are like, "Oh, it's a repressive religion. You're not allowed to do things." But I think it's more liberating than people realize, and it has to be something you experience.
Mm-hmm.